Hi, everybody. I was really questioning myself whether I really wanted to do this or not, predicated on last night's game. And I have a greater sense of professionalism than Kenny Atkinson does. And so here I am. And it isn't going to be for long because I feel anger unabated at this point, and it's directed at two people specifically. And I don't want to really uh, get into it too heavily, except to, and I see that Moose is jumping in here too. Hold on a moment. Hey, Moose, how you doing?
I just got done eating. Your timing is impeccable.
Yeah, that's what I say about chickens when they're really disabled. They're
They
impeccable.
can't peck. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you know, my feelings about the game, everybody would know if you're just on X, you'll know what I'm saying, when I'm saying it. And I knew they were going to lose the game once the Knicks cut it down to like 10 points. I knew the game was over. And there is, I understand in sports there are momentum swings. I certainly know what momentum is. I certainly know it can come out of nowhere. Usually, what it comes is when somebody lets their guard down and a couple of good things happen for the other side, and they start getting a groove and they start getting really, lined up. In this game, um, and I'm really trying to hold back what I feel, and it's something that I will say on this program, and I'm not sure what people on other podcasts are saying. I believe Kenny Atkinson has a mental health problem. I really do. I think there's something wrong with him. And the reason I say this is nobody could perform this, what I'm going to show you now. Nobody who is of sane mind and body, who is not on some kind of medication, would never be able to do this. And God Almighty, and it's hard just to do this because it's just horrifying. This the Kenny Atkins
Oh,
post
I have
game
not seen
conference.
this.
I mean, I'm sorry,
I
Bron.
have not seen this, so
I
this will
just
be new for
want,
me.
I'm going to start this thing out. I'm going to play the whole thing. It's 4 minutes and 43 seconds. But look at the very start of this thing as he sits down and tell me if this is the look of a man who's just given up a 22-point lead. And I'm going to add Steven onto the list. Hi, Steven. Tell me if this is the look of a man who has just lost a game, and we'll go from there. All right. Let me see what I'm doing here. I got to start this bad boy. Here we go. Now, why is he sitting there rubbing his hands together and smiling?
No idea.
I mean, this is a guy who has emotional problems. He's bottled up. I think he's medicated. I really do. I think there's a major problem with this person because this is not normal after what happened in that game and the decisions that he did not make. And here he sits there smiling, like rubbing his hands together like fucking Dr. Evil. I got to think that something is wrong. So we'll play this, and it is, as it goes through, it's like somebody who is in total self denial.
Yeah,
That seemed like a tough one.
it's a tough one. You know, I thought they hit some really tough shots, in that fourth quarter. You know, those 2 threes, prayer threes, end of shot clock. And we got a little unlucky. Quite
I mean, is this like a stand-up act? This looks like something on SCTV. You got to be fucking kidding me. I'll continue.
honestly. You know, Brunson obviously took over at the end, and you know, we started double teaming him and try to.
No, you didn't. You never double teamed him. You just passively had the pass through screen where Dean Wade didn't pick him up on the switch. And he just stopped and allowed Harden to guard him. There was no double teaming on any one of the shots that Brunson hit. So this is a fabrication. It's a lie. We'll continue.
Try to do some different things, but listen, I'm super proud of the way our group played.
Well, I mean, that's really amazing. He's proud. I promised myself I wasn't going to get all upset and pissed off, but you know something? I just turned 69 years of age.
Oh.
I worked for a lot of people before I worked for myself. And the rage and the anger that I felt toward people who just didn't have a fucking clue about what they did for a living, I have that hate in my heart to this day, because they would always have ridiculous explanations as to why they would do the most self-destructive things in the businesses that they owned. And here I'm trying to do something that's fun and entertaining, and it's not fun and entertaining anymore. I hate this man. I literally hate him. I don't know him, but I've met him before, and fuck him. I would fire him after this press conference. But then again, I won in business. I didn't lose 22-point leads, in 7 minutes. I didn't do that. And I understand this could happen in any circumstance where a team just really got on a roll. But to sit there and watch an 18-1 run without calling a timeout. And here he sits in front of the press, and I'll continue on.
We played great basketball tonight for, 3 quarters.
We played great basketball for 3 quarters. Jack Sharkey could say the same thing when he fought Dempsey. I don't know what to tell you. That's why the games are 4 quarters, you stupid fucker. That's why they're 4 quarters. Because playing 3/4 good isn't good enough in the Eastern Conference Finals on the road. I'll continue.
Unfortunately, fourth quarter, they dominated us in the fourth.
They dominated you. You coward. You backed down. You didn't even try to change their momentum. You were in denial. And maybe it's the Xanax you're taking, Kenny. I don't know what it is. You can't fire players up. These guys are making millions and millions of dollars. And you got to get up there and you got to get every last drop of goodness out of them. And this doesn't work. I don't know what he's talking about. He says the other team was lucky. He says that we played great for 3 quarters. Let's continue.
Fourth quarter,
What do you think happened when you guys had the ball in the fourth?
When we had the ball, what are you saying, offensively? Yeah, if my only...
You don't have the ball defensively. Are you mentally foggy? The question was, what did you do in the fourth quarter? And he goes, with the ball? The question was, what did you do offensively? Everything was offensive. I'll continue.
Only regret, and this, this can happen when you get a little fatigued. I think it just stopped moving. I mean, we were pinging the ball all over the place.
Blame player fatigue. And if player fatigue really is the issue, you fucking greaseback Xanax addicted prick. If that was the real reason, why didn't you call the timeout?
It's his fault if it's player fatigue.
He had all these, he had timeouts in his pocket, but the other hand was on a peace sign. It's I don't get it. I'll continue.
Great ball movement, and then it just got a little stagnant. And I told the guys, I said, we played great basketball the majority of the game. Just
when did you tell them? You weren't in communication with them in an 18-1 run. Why are people allowing this idiot who's drug-addled? I'm telling you, there's something way too calm and passive about this. The fans really care about this. The players really care about this. This guy doesn't care about it because I think he's got a medical problem. I really do. He's taking something, and I don't know what it is, but it's altering his reality.
I've thought that for a while.
I mean, it's just, he has the looks of a real nervous guy. He's like Don Knotts was on the Andy Griffith show. He's really, Andy, he's really wound up and tight, But after losing this game, the most important game of the year, and the way they lost it, and he's this calm, different guy. I'd love to see what's in his medicine chest. Let's continue. Oh, and by the way, the whole idea of I told the guys when there was no timeout in the 18-1 run that cost us game one. He's such a liar. He's such a self-excuse maker. He can't lead men. He can't lead men. I'll continue.
The ball stuck at the end there a little bit. Got to keep trusting pass. And then, but I'd also say we got a ton of great looks.
I saw Donovan Mitchell throw up an air ball. I saw a bunch of bricks by James Harden. I don't know. The only shot that looked normal was Evan Mobley's. One went in, one didn't, but they both looked good and they were assertively taken. But I don't know what he's looking at. There's something wrong because he's
terribly wrong.
Didn't go in. So, we'll look at it. I think decisions got to be better,
Your decisions have to be better. Your decisions. And it's no good to tell us this anyway after the game. You had an opportunity, 3 occasions, to tell your players to stop this. Oh, the ball kind of stuck at the end. Then why don't you tell fat idiot James Harden, who's too old to be playing, to stop dribbling the clock down to nothing? And then at the end of the game, when the comeback was complete, there wasn't a shot taken by the Cavaliers under 10 seconds in the shot clock. So they were chucking at the end out of sheer panic. And it's because you never called the timeout to settle them down. Here we go.
Especially when we get fatigued, sometimes we tend to want to, put our heads down too much. Just got to find the open guy.
When we get fatigued, we put our heads down. We didn't get fatigued for 3.5 quarters, Kenny. You telling me that everybody fell off a cliff at the same time and you decided not to call timeouts? I don't know. If he were in front of me, I'd punch the shit out of him because he's got narcotics in his system and he couldn't defend himself. We'll move on.
All right.
John, did Donovan turn something there? He seemed to be...
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Nothing from the training camp, from the training staff. So haven't heard anything.
No, I don't know whether Donovan turned something or not, but hey, I turned the game around, didn't I? Yeah.
I feel like he had the ball enough in that down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously tried to,
trouble
attack
concentrating, Kenny?
their weaker defenders. Obviously, yeah, he had the ball. I thought he had the ball a ton. He's
saying that Donovan Mitchell had the ball a ton. I don't know what in the fuck he was watching. He's got to be on medication. He's not seeing what was happening out there. When Donovan Mitchell was bringing the ball up throughout the game and doing more of the ball handling out front, the Cavs were moving and everything was moving around, and he was facilitating people around him. The second James Harden gets his hands on the ball, it stops. And we were chucking shots up that are horrible shots. I just, this is just like watching somebody doing a false recreation of history, except all of us were there to see it.
Anything else, Earl? Mark? Kenny, obviously, Brunson got hot at the end.
Yeah.
When you look ahead towards game 2, do you look at matchup or coverage switches to try to slow him down?
I mean, we held him in check most of the game.
Fine consolation prize. Yeah, we did that, didn't we? And why was that? Because Dean Wade was guarding him. You fucking asshole. Have you forgotten who was covering who? It wasn't James Harden who was stopping Brunson.
Nope.
It was Dean Wade.
Yeah.
And Dean Wade stopped trying to fight through the screens because I think they were just, they needed a timeout. They needed to get themselves organized. They were disheveled. And this guy was nowhere to be found.
Right. It was basically fourth quarter. He got loose, and we definitely tried to mix up some stuff, throw some stuff at him. We'll have to keep looking at it.
Yeah, you got to keep looking at it. We got to be better. There's nothing to look at. You put a 36-year-old man onto their primary scorer who has won more games for that organization than anybody in recent history. That's what you did. Try defending it.
Hit a lot of, his tough floaters and hit that, tough contested three. I felt like they hit a lot of tough shots,
They missed so many shots when your team was playing the proper defense. The Cavaliers missed a bunch of free throws. Had they made 2 or 3 more free throws, they would have won in regulation. And he's not talking about that. If they played staunch defense and switched Dean Wade over to Brunson, and Brunson doesn't make 2 of those shots, we win in regulation.
Yeah.
That's all it took. But he facilitated the Knicks. He's born in New York. He's a New York guy, and he was in a New York state of mind, and now he's in a narcotic state of mind. Here we go.
The 2 Bridges threes, like, kind of what are you going to do, Yeah.
What are you going to do against Bridges threes? If you didn't notice, the last one from the corner was over James Harden. This is what everything comes down to. Everybody got better when James Harden was the defender in front of them. Now, before I continue this, what would it have hurt in a timeout to put Keon Ellis on Brunson, a fresh body, and to really body up with him?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, you have that, and you've already got Dean Wade. So if they're going to go ahead and do a switch, what switches to Keon? And you got an energized guy playing defense when that's what he does best. But no, he can't even figure his way through that.
Apologies if this is asked.
That's all right.
But it seemed like they were kind of going after James late in the game and over time. Did you feel? I know you tried shading him a little bit.
Yeah, we adjusted.
Now look, the look on his face was, it looked like they were trying to get James to be the defender, and he got this vague look in his face.
We adjusted to that,
Here, I'll go back and see if I can. Nope, I just blew it. This thing isn't a back and forth thing. This thing will not go fast forward.
That's not a scroller.
It's a non-scroller, so fuck it anyway.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear the rest of his.
I've heard enough of that anyway.
God only knows. It's. I don't know.
Do you want my view on this?
Sure.
I saw the game, and I'm watching it, much later than everybody else is. and I didn't feel that bad about the loss. And what struck me was that New York, the commentators, the people in New York, the social media I saw, they acted like they had just won the World Series. I think New York are still there for the taking. What we've got to do is play more people. We can't just play 8 guys the whole game and Harden with 35, 38, 40 minutes. It's just not going to happen. We've got to start trusting Keon Ellis, and God damn it, you got to start finding out whether Tyson can actually help you. But Dean Wade and Max Struess and Schroeder, and I'm going to talk about Struess and Schroeder for a bit here. You look at their stats, and they were absolutely horrific stat lines of like 1 for 8 and 2 for 6 and all that. But they actually looked like they were playing the game and trying to win, and
with energy.
they were playing with energy, and they were defending, and their offense suffered, but they were doing their bit even though their shots weren't going down. And when the shots wouldn't go down for the Cavs, they'd go half the way down and fly out of the rim. I mean, there were a lot of Cavaliers shots that went halfway down and flew out. So I think New York is just fucking relieved that they won this game. And a different coach other than Atkinson would have like G'd the team up during that run and probably stopped it. Or had it still happened anyway, would have said, guys, we just are nearly there. If we push more and I work on my rotations, we're going to win this series. I think we're in a better place right now than the Oklahoma City Thunder is. They had no answer for Wembyana, and they got absolutely fucked in the ass on their home court in front of 30,000 blue t-shirted fans.
But you know something, you're veering off into a different direction, and I have no doubt the Thunder will come back and win their series.
Yeah.
The younger team, San Antonio, doesn't have the experience. I'll agree with you. Wembanyama was fantastic. He hit that pull up 3 from God 30 feet out.
I mean,
that was just he was really great. But the stats say that he's not going to score 42 points in games.
correct. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and it was a great performance. But don't say that the Cavs have a better chance than the Oklahoma City Thunder. This series is over. This series
it is
totally over. This team has proven in the past that they just can't get over a hump. And when you're up by 22 points with 7 left in the game, where the odds of winning were 99.9%, it was a 0.01 chance
Yeah, absolutely.
that the Knicks would win, and you couldn't close that out, and your coach panics and freezes in a narcotic haze and doesn't call a timeout. And the other thing he said after the game was, well, I'd like to have a few timeouts in my pocket. And it's like, he's drug addicted. As far as I'm concerned, that's just not even logical thinking. He should be checked for mental issues. I'm really dead serious. That's crazy.
Moo, can I make a couple corrections there?
Sure.
He kept saying, well, we control the game for 3 quarters. I'm like, well, actually, technically it was 3.5. And then secondly, when Harden was guarding him, you know how easy it was for Brunson to get around him? I saw the drop, 12-foot jumper.
Everything off the backboard within,
Harden just looked like a fish out of water. Just one blow by. He just got around Harden every time. And I'm like, dude, what are they doing putting Harden on this guy? I know it's the switch, but you got to put another guy on him.
Yeah, I mean, Harden played way too long. I mean, if you looked at the game stats during the game, we were the starting lineup was up plus 20, plus 20, plus 17, plus 20, plus 25, all during the game. And then during the run, it collapsed because the starters were in there. Nothing was done, and they all ended up being minuses, pretty much.
Did you guys know that I thought the Cavs won when they were up 93-71 with 7 minutes left? So I turn the TV off, I go to work, and I tell everyone how the Cavs won. And one guy said, "Damn, I had 6 points on Detroit on the over. I guess I lost." And then when I went and turned on ESPN, I saw the score, and I couldn't believe it. And so I had to go up and tell him he won. He said, "Oh." Everybody turned the TV off. They thought the Cavs won.
One player was willing to tell the truth. All right. Evan Mobley is a keeper. All right. He may not be the guy who all of the Cleveland media, just like, it's what they do for everybody in the Cleveland media. They talk people up just so they can rip them apart later. Evan Mobley has his strengths. He has his weaknesses. He played a good game. He rebounded well. He played his position. He made some nice shots. And after the game, here's what he said. And I think he was hearing the same thing I was.
I think we just slowed the pace up.
Yep.
I think we got to keep playing fast, even though we're up. Try to play the clock until later. I feel like we try to play the clock a little early, and they started going on their run. So we got to do a better job of keeping the pace up regardless of score.
I mean, that says it all. And this has been the Cavaliers all year under Kenny Atkinson. There's never the right moment that he throws the right switch. And now he doesn't make any switches whatsoever. He just stays with the guys on the floor so he can say they're exhausted at his press conference to absolve himself of all accountability and responsibility. But Evan Mobley is correct. The ball stopped hopping. And why do you think there were open shots? Why do you think we had a 22-point lead? It wasn't because we stood there and froze, for God's sakes, but that's at the end what wound up happening. And I'm glad one of the players said that. And Donovan Mitchell, and I don't have this video, but he made a comment in his post-game interview that he said that they asked, well, why didn't you have your hands on the ball as much at the end of the critical moments in the fourth quarter where the lead just disappeared? And he said, I'm going to have to go back and look at that. He goes, but yeah, I didn't have the ball as much. And you're like, that's your best player.
Yep.
Donovan Mitchell is your best player, and James Harden is too old to be playing the game. And if you see him turning the ball over and the ball gets knocked away from him, he's too old to dive on the floor for it.
Yeah.
Did you see the play that Donovan made where he dove over Karl Anthony
Towns? Let go of the ball and then picked it up and drove down.
Yep.
Oh,
I mean, James Harden can't do that. James Harden's halfway into a body bag. He's old.
Even his 3-point field goal percentage was bad. 1 for 8, 5 for 16 from the field for 15 points.
He is next to Kenny Atkinson, and Kenny Atkinson can get Harden off the floor with just a snap of the fingers. And so that's why I'm savagely attacking the coach. I've been saying since he got here that Harden is unable to play at tempo and pace. If anybody was exhausted at the end of the game, it was the 36-year-old guy who was walking it over the midcourt line every time and wasn't sharing the ball to find any ball movement to get a guy an open look.
Yeah.
So those two men conspire, and they conspire in a way that Harden knows he can get away with that horse shit to try to play hero ball and not to share the ball, even though Evan Mobley knows it was in their best interest to move the ball faster and find open men and use all the men who are on the floor. And the one shot that Merrill missed that went in and out, that was probably one of the better looks that we had, and it still was a difficult shot. So I just and
we can't. I don't think it's right to be too down about that game, but You can be as down as you want to be. Yeah. Where was I going with that? The, we got to start trusting more guys. I think I'm going to keep saying that till it actually happens. Got to start trusting more guys instead of just James Harden for 38, 40 minutes.
Well,
It's
and
not working.
here's a stat for you, Bronk. James Harden was the screener defender on 21 on-ball picks in the fourth quarter and overtime alone.
Yeah.
And the Knicks got 1.6 points per direct action on those plays. They scored virtually every time. Now, it's, and it's, you say, well, maybe it was his defense, but he's an offensive player. No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
And not anymore anyway. And we can't just make him into something that he's not. And I'll show this to you because some people come out of the game and they forget what they just watched. And, that I'm here to remind people. This is a 48-second video. It shouldn't be hard to figure out. These are the incredibly bad looks that the Cavaliers got with James Harden at the head of the snake, so to speak. And here we go.
3 guards out there, Harden, Schroeder, and Mitchell. Brunson trying to front Mobley. Harden, step back, 3-pointer.
Doink.
Get it? Mitchell to Merrill. Harden, 3-pointer.
Doink.
Back of the rim, won't go. Fight for the rebound. Shamit comes down with it. Harden guarded by Bridges. Shot clock winding down. Harden dribbles, steps back, forces up in and out. Towns the rebound.
It's a dangerous zone for the Cavs.
Oh, that reminded me.
Harden.
What I was going to say before.
Inside, well defended. Towns, tough rebound in traffic. 5 on the 24. Harden, a crossover, pulls up 3-pointer, way off an air ball, out of bounds, Knicks ball. 3 guards out there, Harden.
All right, so go ahead while you remember what you were going to say.
Yeah, the prelude to the Knicks run, I think, needs to be talked about. And that, what I mean by that is that the strategy to do the hack-a-shack when we were winning the game quite handily, and then we just decided to try to get Mitchell Robinson to the free throw line for about 4 or 5 straight possessions. Why? Did that even do anything? Did that even work? All it did was load us up with fouls. And I'm just thinking, like, what was the point of that? It actually gave the Knicks more time to come back and win the game. We weren't running out the clock. We were fouling him and then getting possessions, and it just, I think that's what started the slowdown of the team, was this strategy.
Well, Mitchell Robinson has been a guy who on the boards has hurt the Cavaliers in past years. I think the fact that he literally winds up like a baseball pitcher and throws the ball at the rim from the free throw line. I mean, there's no arc on the ball whatsoever. And he missed virtually everyone he took. I think he made 2 out of however many he took.
Like 20% or something.
And I think that was more demoralizing for the New York Knicks. I don't think that may have been the only decision that was made by Kenny Atkinson that made any sense whatsoever, because it forced him out of the game.
Yeah, it forced him out of the game. If it may have been better if he hadn't been forced out of the game, because Anthony Towns hadn't had a great game prior to that, and that's why Robinson was in there. Then Towns comes in more motivated, and they start playing better and rebounding the ball.
Again, I look at a completely different way of looking at that. And it's one thing to have a reason for doing something versus doing nothing. All right. And when you make a decision that you're going to go on a Hacker Robinson thing, that's fine and dandy. He steps up and proves why you did it. Yep. And it gets your hands back on the ball, and so that you could increase your lead. I understand that, But
we didn't increase our lead.
You're
That's what
think
started
that
floundering.
didn't happen in the fourth quarter. That happened in the third quarter.
I'm pretty sure it was a bit later than the third quarter.
And if it was before the 7-minute
Yeah,
mark.
it was well before the 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the prelude to all that. It got Towns into the game. Is my point.
I think everybody got into the game. I mean, Shamet started making them.
Yeah,
Bridges started
exactly.
making them. I mean, they literally were energized by the guy on our sideline who energized them by getting him back in the game.
Mike Brown adjusted against us, and we didn't do anything.
No, he
just got
didn't.
Worse.
No, he didn't. Again, I'm going to disagree with that. For 3.5 quarters, he did nothing. He was powerless.
What do you think, Steven? Because
he was a big potato head. That's what he was. Go ahead, Steven. What did you think?
I just don't see how you blow a 22-point lead in 7 minutes. Like, what are the odds of that happening? I mean, I think Vegas odds
0.01%. It was 0.01. The Cavaliers, if you look at the odds to win, were at 99.9% at that moment.
It almost seems like it was a demoralizing loss. Like, it almost seems like I hope the Cavs don't get swept because of this. But I remember I was telling you about game one. I said this is a crucial game, I think, for the Cavs to make a big statement, get a win in the Big Apple, in the Garden, and get the win. And you're up 22-7. It'd be different if the game's a little close, a 10-point lead. 22 points, 7 minutes to go. That's coaching. That's coaching.
No. My feeling is the series is over, that it doesn't matter now what happens. I never want to see Atkinson on the sideline. Last time I said this, and they brought Hugh Jackson back to the Browns, you remember that was the only year in 25 years that I terminated the program.
Wow.
Terminated it because I have my beliefs and I stand by my beliefs, and I'm a man of my word. I don't stand up and lie if I fuck up. If I do something or say something that's wrong, when I posted up the Take Me Home Country Roads walk up music of Chase DeLauder, and I didn't realize that he had chosen it, and I took a beating on X over that, and I went on the show and I talked about it. Because when you do something dumb, you do something dumb. And if you're strong enough as a man or as a human being, you stand up to that. But this isn't that. Mike Brown had no clue. He didn't know what hit him. For 3.5 quarters, he ran out of ideas. He ran this in and this in and this out and this out, and nothing was working. The only thing that worked for him was Kenny Atkinson holding on to a bunch of timeouts and not using them, and then saying his own team was exhausted when Kenny, all he needed to do was give them 2 timeouts to give them rest so that they could compose themselves mentally and physically. That's the end of the game. Mike Brown is a much better coach than Kenny Atkinson, but fucking honest to God, Corky is a goddamn better coach than Kenny Atkinson.
The 7 minutes, isn't this a point where you think all the bench players come in for both teams, 7 minutes left? Like, what are the odds of this happening? It's like lightning striking 3 times in one spot.
You don't finish a job that you start, and that's what happens. And I can't tell you enough from my work history, the things that I watched, the people who hired me when I was working for people, and it just lit my fire so that when I owned my own business, that I would do what needed to be done. And there were nights where I didn't sleep. There were nights when just trying to help put the product together and the entire advertising campaigns of the radio stations together, and, working after hours with my people if they had personal problems. I was there for it because I asked for that. You own a business, you ask for all of the good and all of the bad that goes with it. You can't pick and choose. Kenny Atkinson wants to take medication and blank out on the bench. I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but you can't come into a presser afterwards and say, well, they hit some lucky shots, and then all of the kids are after me, Lucky Charms. I mean, what kind of stupidity is that? And you ooze that stupidity in front of the press and in front of the world. He's an idiot. Now,
it seemed like in the press conference he should have been pissed. He should have been angry. You said we should not have lost this 22-point lead.
Or taken responsibility. If you can't even take responsibility, what kind of a person are you? And it's
at least
just
show some fire. If I lose a 22-point lead with 7 minutes left, I'm showing fire in that press conference.
So
everybody's being held accountable on the Cleveland roster, including myself.
What I'm saying is, as a fan, for the rest of the year, I'm going to watch the games. I'm never going to feel the same way again. Never going to feel the same way until Kenny Atkinson's gone. If they keep Kenny Atkinson, I will not speak about this team next year. I will not. What I will do is speak now, and that is, it isn't difficult for a thinking man to figure out what the right thing to do is for the Cleveland Cavaliers once this season comes to an end. You bring back Donovan Mitchell. He's your best player. You bring back Evan Mobley. He is a good fixture on the team. You bring back Merrill and you bring back Strus because they have heart and they play with desire. And the new coach that you're going to hire is going to stress those attributes.
Absolutely.
So that'll be important. All right. From there, you get rid of Schroeder because he can't shoot the ball. He doesn't get you any activity offensively, and he's too small to have any effect defensively.
Absolutely.
You keep Keon because the reason you got Keon was because he has upside that he wasn't able to show because of diminished minutes where he was playing in Seattle and or is it Sacramento? Sacramento. And and not getting minutes in Sacramento, that's not real good. But the team, when they got Keon, said, this is a guy who has real defensive chops. And what we want to do with him is we want to help him create not just a 3-point shot, but a mid-range game. Well, now you'll have your chance during the offseason to do just that. So you keep him. Now, Jared Allen, I'm really thinking that I would trade him. And the reason I would do this is because he was playing soft again last night. If you're looking at the stats of the game, it was not, Jared Allen played 35 minutes, was 3 for 6 with 7 rebounds.
Yeah.
Mobley played 5 minutes more and had twice as many rebounds.
And more than twice as many shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mobley didn't have a great shooting night, but the bottom line is he did things that were helping while he was on the floor. And I just look at Jared Allen and I say, we got to get younger and we got to get more athletic. Keon is a guy who can do that. Jalen Tyson is not. Jalen Tyson, to me, goes away. Jalen Tyson could be a bench player, but he's not a role player until he gets his head out of his ass. And when the 3 minutes that he played the night before would guarantee, or 2 nights before the game, that would cost anybody their job. I mean, just getting technical fouls and just literally being psyched out of his skin by other players.
I totally agree with that, and I appreciate that, but we're not going to win with 8 fucking guys. So.
No. But you see, if you trade Jared Allen, you get something back. And you know what they need really big time is they need a guy. I remember when they got DeAndre Hunter, and the thing about that was, God, this guy's, it's not just that he's 6'8", because we were coming off of the can't shoot Isaac Okoro years. And it's like, no, this guy, he can shoot. He's 6'8", not 6'4", and his wingspan is huge.
Yes.
And he played great defense when he was in Atlanta. And it's like, ooh, that sounds too good to pass up. But what did Kenny Atkinson do? He said to him, "So what do you want to do this year, DeAndre? Do you want to be a defensive player or you want to be an offensive player?" And DeAndre said, "I want to shoot the ball more." And look what the fuck happened.
He got ruined.
That's Kenny Atkinson again. He poisons whatever there is. What we need to get for Jared Allen, and I'm not going to say an Oscar Thompson character because I think he's a sick motherfucker, but athletically, oh yes, you need somebody who is one of those long-armed, fast as hell leapers. And I don't care whether he can score or not. You saw the difference in the limited time that Tomlin and Naquan didn't even know what he was doing out there. He was running like a chicken with its head cut off during the course of the regular season. You need to have somebody who's got more, training than Naquan does. But, every team in the league has these guys who are leapers and jumpers. You're playing against a New York Knicks team. You would kick their ass, man. If you had somebody who was long-limbed and faster than Jalen Brunson and faster than, Anunoby or faster than Hart, you would give yourself defensively such a lift. The core, and then you have Dean Wade, and a lot of people want Dean Wade off the team.
No, we keep Dean Wade.
But 50% of the fan base would say fuck no, and the other 50% would say yes. I think the problem with Dean Wade is that he's afraid to shoot the ball. He doesn't have an identity, and he's out on the floor. He did a wonderful job defensively on Brunson when he was given a chance to play, but when Kenny called the dogs off at the end of the game and refused to call timeouts to get the thing back to the way it was too late. But so even if you keep Dean Wade, for God's sakes, and you get two guys who are athletic for Allen, and then you keep Mobley, but you make Mobley a center. I mean, let's make him what he is. I mean, let him get into the weight room, get a little bigger and a little stronger, and he is a center. I mean, it's the same shit that happened in San Antonio. You have Tim Duncan coming in, but they had Robinson, who was really kind of the older guy. Mobley, let him be a center. He can still shoot some from behind the arc, but he's got to get strength and rebounds, and that becomes important. You never re-sign Harden, not in a million years. You want to free up some money, Dan Gilbert. He is just a letdown, a complete letdown. You're not going to have Larry Nance Jr. on the goddamn. That sure as hell on the roster. That's not going to happen. Bryant isn't going to be back. He's an inept big man. Tyson, you bring back, but for a new coach, because Tyson's head was fucked up because Kenny stopped playing him.
Again, Kenny is to blame for that too. But you look at the Knicks last night, they played 10 guys.
Yeah.
They played Jordan Clarkson, who we know isn't a very good player. They played Shamet, who isn't that great. Miles McBride is old and slow. Mitchell Robinson,
that's right.
We were talking about him. They did it. They didn't have some 38-year-old guy playing the most minutes of the game. The guy that absolutely sucked last night for the Knicks was Josh Hart.
Yep.
He did nothing.
He was throwing up line drives. He looked like his legs were heavy to me.
And he wasn't defending either. I mean, I think Donovan blew by him more times than.
But that's what his calling card is supposed to be. And I was surprised. Hart's a big time player on that team.
He got taken out of the game. He wasn't playing. So Mike Brown did do things. He wasn't totally Mr. Potato Head. So I mean, to blame Kenny Atkinson 100% for this game, yeah, sure, blame him 80%, but there were other things going on there too that
I blame him 100%. I blame him 100%. If there's a different coach who can communicate with the players and at least is awake to do basic strategies, we win that basketball game without a problem. We win more regular season games as well. We wouldn't have gotten beat up in the previous playoffs. This guy's a dipshit.
Maybe we should bring back the Orlando guy that got fired for.
No, you don't want Mosley. You don't want that. I just
who's out there that's going to be a lot better than Atkinson?
That isn't anyone would be better than a drug-induced guy who's fooling himself by trying to make excuses and not taking action when the game's on, then making excuses afterwards. Anyone's better than that. But there are people who are available, but again, that's not my job. My job is to say, look, if you want to keep Kenny Atkinson, go ahead and do it. I'm never going to speak about the team again. I swear to God, until he's gone, I'm gone. I'll be talking about the Browns. I'll be talking about the Guardians, but fuck this shit. Somebody's got to stand up. Dan Gilbert's maybe he can't at this point, but Dan Gilbert's got to, in another kind of way, stand up and say, this just isn't good enough. And Dan Gilbert's bussing fans all over the place. He's spending money like it's going out of style to get players. He's taking chances. He's doing everything he can do to win. And he's got this idiot, gel-haired fool who's sitting there and not even taking accountability and responsibility for the stupid mistakes that he makes. And if this sounds vitriolic and hateful, I hope it does, because I've dealt with people like this before. A lot of you guys out there who are watching, you work hard for a living and you might have some feelings about, the people you work for. Maybe they're not the coolest people in the world. But the higher up you are in the food chain, you get to see the way the decisions are being made. I get to Spokane, Washington, and the guy who's the half owner of the radio station is programming the music, and the guy is doing it by doing research in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, that doesn't help you in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Because there ain't no fucking Hispanic people walking around Spokane like there is in Scottsdale, or none of you, oh my goodness, I love my new swimming pool, that are in Scottsdale. And he would only come up to the radio station when he wanted to fuck the secretary. Now, I'm sorry. You called my ass in and you brought my ass in from the Midwest to come out to the Pacific Northwest to win. And you deprived me the chance of winning. Kenny Atkinson has just destroyed the chance of the Cleveland Cavaliers winning. He's let the whole team down. And what kind of confidence could you have in this schmuck? I mean, if you were a player and you were Jalen Tyson, and you said, I don't know what the hell I did, but I don't play anymore. And Keon Ellis is like, me too. And everybody's looking at each other like, I don't know what this guy's doing because he keeps changing. Well, he changes his prescription. I don't know. What I do know is that there can't be any confidence in this man in that locker room. There can't be. I've lived it. I've been there. The guy says to me in Spokane, Washington, you're trying to add music to this playlist and I'm not going to let you do it. And I said, well, there's the ratings on the station are horrendous and you're playing the wrong music. I said, what is your format? He goes, well, we're an adult contemporary. I said, and what are you shooting for? He goes, women. I said, then why in the fuck are we playing Rain on the Scarecrow by John Cougar Mellencamp? Tell me. Yeah. There is no information out there. It's like, we're going to do a poll amongst a bunch of people where a bunch of women said, I want to hear Rain on the Scarecrow. The thing didn't even crack the top 40 hardly. This is
that song. So yeah.
It's mind-boggling. I have a very sharp memory. I remember everything that happened back then. I remember what they did to me in the end, because what he asked me was, look, you got to play along with what I'm doing. I said, I'm here to win. I'm not here to be your lackey. I'm telling you what you're doing wrong so that you can win. And he says, well, let me put it this way. If you and I were on a boat in the middle of the ocean and I fell out, there was a life raft there, or a life, whatever they'll call those, lifesaver things.
The ring.
Yeah. And there was one, would you throw it to me? And I said, well, geez, I said, that's a humanity question. But I said, if you're asking me in the context of the radio station, I would let you drown. So they took my ass to a Red Roof Inn in goddamn outside of Spokane, near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and fired me by accusing me of a bunch of things that I didn't do. And that's the fuel and the anger that I brought with me to succeed in my career. And I'm proud of it. I feel horrible for Donovan Mitchell. I feel horrible for the guys on this team to get so close and to have a schmuck just fuck it up. It's like all you have to do is make a few right decisions. It wouldn't be that difficult. We're going around and around and around with somebody who he's never been a proven winner. And the decisions he's making and not making are killing the team. It's just that simple. And as an owner of businesses who knows he has to go, Dan Gilbert knows that he has to go.
Oh, he ain't going to go in the middle of the series.
No, that's right. You're going to sit back.
We have to live with them. So we're living with them.
Yeah,
so,
but you know something? Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to live with him any more than they had to live with JB Bickerstaff.
I mean, if you think I've been defending Kenny Atkinson today,
oh, I know you're not.
You know I'm not.
I'm just harder core about this than you are.
You know,
I mean,
I don't think it's well, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, God damn it, we'll see whether the Thunder bounce back and win by 20 tonight, and we'll see whether the Cavs get swamped, Friday night and lose by 30. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't happen. That's why we watch these fucking games.
That's right. And
look, I can't, I can only say what I'm seeing, and I got a very different perspective than anybody in this fucking chat room. I have a very different background than anybody in this fucking chat room. And because I don't talk about my past here, doesn't mean I don't have one.
Oh, I know you do.
So.
Well, this is the stuff of which, programs are made instead of these fake he said, she said kinds of shows. That's why I want people to speak their minds.
We spend a lot of time agreeing, because it's obvious. If you have half a brain, you're going to agree with somebody who's reasonable and articulate and knows what they're talking about. I mean, that's how the world should work. You don't just fucking, agree because they all have the same ideology that you have, whether it happens to be right, wrong, left, or center, or beyond.
Well, what people don't know is that Bronk and I speak off of the show. I mean, it isn't like we just suddenly show up. I don't know what he's going to say, and he doesn't know what I'm going to say.
Oh, absolutely not. I have no fucking idea, but I have an idea from being on here for 20 years what you're going to say.
Yes.
And sometimes we complete each other's thoughts because
yes,
they're obvious. I mean, I'll give you like how it works. If anybody's ever seen the movie Amadeus with that
sure.
celebrates Mozart, he wrote music in which each successive note was inevitable. It was the best note possible afterwards.
Right.
And how many people can do that in their jobs? Fucking few people can do that.
That's right.
And then when you have an important job like Kenny Atkinson, and you clearly, by looking at him, he has issues of some kind that we may not be aware of, mental, physical, issues with the management or whatever that we don't know about, but you can see him on these press conferences. He has the worst press conferences I have ever seen from any manager.
Disheveled, disorganized.
And I watch managers not just in America, not just American sports, but British sports. I watch football managers that have 30,000 fucking rabid fans yelling you're going to be sacked in the morning at you, for some of the decisions you make. And they have to go up in front of the press and either defend themselves or cave in. And you know what? Some of them actually leave and resign. In America, you don't leave or resign. You can fuck up as much as you want, and you can you can still say, "Oh, it's my fault. It's my responsibility." Well, then why don't you fucking leave? If it's your responsibility, you take responsibility. And the Japanese would harikiri and fall on their fucking sword. Well, that don't happen in America. I mean, there was a cheating scandal here in England where the Southampton spied on teams, and they've just gotten thrown out of the Premier League playoff to be in the play. That would never happen in America. You would never throw out Tom Brady's New England Patriots out of the Super Bowl for serious infractions, even though they probably should have been. There's different cultures, and if you don't see different cultures, if you don't have different experiences, if you don't go out and have different life experiences, job experiences, you can't really fucking comment that strongly about anything, but people do.
Well, Richard, as far as intimidation,
I hope that's not the case, but I fear that too.
Well, the intimidation that Atkinson would feel would be the amount of money that they and who they gave up, first of all, in Darius Garland, and and that we're going to throw a mountain of money in the future to James Harden, who's 36 years of age. Kenny Atkinson was told, we're bringing this guy in and he's going to play. That has something to do with that. But it has nothing to do with if he's out there playing a lot, that you're not calling timeouts to giving him a chance to rest. I mean,
he's not meant to play the most minutes of the fucking team.
No, he's long past that point, and his shots are off because his legs are heavy, and he's walking the ball up the floor. He's slow. I mean, it's and will lull the team to sleep. And this game got off to a start with Donovan Mitchell just going off into the paint and dishing off and getting baskets for the big men down low.
He had more assists in that first couple minutes than he had in most games.
But that's because they took away the ball, and he's the best creator. And when I say creator, he creates for himself, but he's proving that he can create for others too. And if you have Strus, who's sometimes hot and sometimes not, and Merrill, who's sometimes hot and sometimes not, but you're going to get a chance that one of those guys, or maybe both of them, are clicking, and your team's going to do well. But the pace of passing the ball has got to be real precise and quick, and so that these guys can get their shots off. That's why they're on the floor. And I feel the same way about Keon. Keon can shoot threes, although I don't like his form particularly. He needs to work on it.
Yeah, him and Schroeder, they're sort of the ball does tend to spin out of the hoop after the way they put the spin on the ball. But the other comment I was going to make about last night's game in particular is that there's a phrase here in England called "you're still fighting the last war," and that had a lot to do with people using World War II tactics in the 1950s and all that stuff. But in a sense, it looked like the Cavs strategy. We were still playing the fucking Pistons when we were not. We were playing the New York fucking Knicks, not the Pistons. And it looked like we had not adjusted even past that last series. And I don't know what sort of scouting they did on the Knicks or whatnot, but there was nothing there that made it look like that we weren't playing against, substitute Brunson for Cade Cunningham and substitute Cat for Duran. And, it looked like that we were still playing against the Pistons to me in some situations, and that we weren't prepared to play the Knicks.
And in microcosm, Richard, that play where the Cavaliers had all of the men in rebounding position, and they knocked it out of one another's hands. They were in the right position. They aggressively went after the ball. I never get mad at players for aggressively going after balls, but that was an untimely thing. But to isolate that one play based upon minute after minute after minute after minute of being forced to run around, and Kenny could see after he told you after the game they were fatigued, but he didn't give them a chance to rest. There's no excuse.
The first half we should have played better. We did not play well enough in the first half. We didn't get to 50 points, I don't think. And there were turnovers. There's the same old, dribble turnovers. And
that's Harden.
The other thing I want to say is that over here, Amazon Prime here in international waters in England are showing these games. They're using the ESPN Mike Breen guys, but
Right.
then they don't show the ESPN adverts. They cut away the English announcers and they show the court or they show the background of Madison Square Garden or whatnot. And one
Right.
of the clips that they showed, they were doing the who's in the house thing. Now, if anybody's ever watched Madison Square Garden or been there, they will always show who's sitting on Celebrity Row, and they'll show like Tim Chalamet and Kylie Jenner and Patrick Ewing and Walt Frazier and all that. Well, they were showing that clip, and they had a long shot of Madison Square Garden. So that clip is on the Jumbotron, and looking down, you could see on the Cavs bench that most of the Cavs bench was up there looking at the Jumbotron, trying to see who was in the stadium, what celebrities. And it was like Tomlin and the usual guys, but there could have been it may have been even a couple of people actually still in the game at that point watching this Jumbotron of Madison Square Garden and all the celebrities that are there. So that is one thing that the coach has got to make it a point. It's just another fucking arena, and this is another job site. You're on a job site. You're not in some celebrity haven. You got to go out and do your job, and that's,
Kenny Atkinson.
Stressed.
Kenny Atkinson was a coaching assistant. All right, for all of his career virtually until he got to Brooklyn.
He was a sidekick. He's not a leader.
Right. And and with the Golden State Warriors, he was just there and he would, tell people you could do this, here's an idea here and there. But it's just like Johnny Bryant for the Cavaliers. I mean, you wouldn't say that he would be head coaching material.
No, a nice guy, but you wouldn't.
It's
a lovely guy, but you wouldn't put him in charge of a team. You got to be a bit of a prick to be in charge of a team.
Well, you got to be assertive, and you've got to, the thing is, either you fight the current or you let the current drag you wherever it drags you. And Kenny is just letting the current go whatever way it goes. And he's not trying to alter circumstances at all with decision making. And it's, and I know that fans want, they have their favorite players, their least favorite players. And I recognize that Schroeder is past his peak at 33 years of age, and he's not a finisher at the rim because he's too short, and he doesn't shoot open threes well if you give them to him, which they did give him a few, and there's not much that he was going to do. And he's not a secure ball handler, and he's a hothead. There are some things that from a coaching perspective, I think we need a little bit more, I wish they'd have used the regular season to continue to help Jalen Tyson become a better basketball player, but they gave up on him.
They gave up on him.
And they gave up on him the second that Harden came in. And that is, I'm sure, not Kenny Atkinson's idea. That's coming from the top. It's like, look, we just brought this guy in.
Well, that's meddling. That shouldn't be going on. But
I mean, Dan Gilbert, it's his money, and we know that he's a meddler. We know that.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
It's what it is.
We're going to see what happens. I mean, we lost the first two in Detroit, but that, like they say in the E.F. Hutton Mutual Fund, that's past performance doesn't necessarily mean future performance.
Right.
So if you think our fund went up 30% last year, that doesn't mean it's going to keep going up 30%. It might drop by 70. You never know. I mean, that's why we watch these fucking games. So either I'm more confident than you are that this isn't going to be a wasted week of Cavaliers futility.
Time will tell.
We'll see. I mean, one of us will be more right than the other one will be.
Well, to me, Kenny Atkinson is not a guy who's going to talk the troops up, because he just threw them under the bus at his press conference.
Yeah, that was terrible.
So,
I mean, I thought Stefanski was bad at press conferences, but Atkinson is much worse. I cannot believe how bad he is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy. That is crazy
I know.
talk.
And that's what loses the confidence of the players. These are grown men, and it doesn't matter how much they're getting paid. These are grown men, and they want to win. They want to win.
Mobley's been calm as fuck during this playoff run. He's been hitting shots that you wouldn't think he would hit. He's been hitting, he's been missing the odd thing, but he's been hitting the hardest free throws. Maybe some of the ones earlier in the game he might miss. And Jared Allen's been hitting. He's been missing the easier free throws, but the one comes down the stretch, he's been hitting stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody thought we were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals in February. I thought we were going to be a fucking play-in team, And then we did this trade, and now we're fucking in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
We have to win 4 games out of the next 6, which sounds impossible, but
it is.
That's where we disagree. You think it's impossible. I think it's doable, but hard.
Nothing is impossible. They came back from 22 points down with 7 minutes left. Anything's possible. Yeah. But, again, I don't see that coming into the press conference and taking no personal responsibility and throwing your players under the bus is going to make things better for the next game when you're only another 24 hours from now away from playing again.
So what did they do? Did they stay in New York? Do they meet today? Or what's the logistics of all that?
No, they stay in New York, and I mean they go back home. But the thing is that the players can't feel real good seeing that press conference. And as far as Kenny is concerned, I will continue to watch the games. I'll continue to speak my mind. And if Kenny Atkinson is back next year, I will terminate my commentary about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I almost don't think he is, because he's the way he's looking. There is something wrong, whether it's mental, physical, or job related. Whether there's just too much pressure. I mean, Dan Gilbert and LeBron made Tyronn Lue nearly get killed. So how deathly sick was he during those playoff runs?
That's right.
Years ago.
Yeah,
so I don't know what's going on.
He's never been a head coach, and this is the first time he's facing the big under the microscope, and he looks like he's falling apart to me. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So, again, you don't know until you're there, and I got shot into a chair and making all the decisions for a company, and I made mistakes, but I never made the big ones. not like this.
And you never had to do a press conference in front of the entire international basketball community, because that's what it is. I mean, there's people in China, there's people in South Sudan, there's people in France, there's people in Britain, there's people in Brazil, there's people in Australia watching all this shit.
I was accountable, though, to my employees. And when I fucked up, I said to him, man, did I fuck up on this? And I'm really sorry I did this. I mean, you have to be human about this. We're all in the fight together, I hope the Cavs come back, win game 2. I hope the Cavs, if they lose game 2, win the 2 at home. So we'll have at least a decent series to watch. But this is heartbreaking to see. And when the man who's supposed to be in charge of this is literally just
it's
falling apart.
It's runaway train situation that looked like. And that was really a runaway train the last 7 minutes in the overtime.
Last thing, Ron, I think we all do, but I think deep down we're beginning to question whether this guy who's the head coach is the guy who could get us there. I don't think that the Cavaliers are just going to disappear and just get sucked into the sand at the end of the year. They have assets, and they can rebuild this roster in a way by keeping the people who are the hardest workers and the people who will, being working with a little bit more of an emotional, giddy up kind of guy. I don't mean a guy like JB with a whip, but not a guy who's sitting there just falling asleep at a press conference and starting it like, see what I did? I just blew a 22-point lead. I didn't call a timeout.
Yeah, I mean,
And his hands are like this, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that almost looked like a forced smile to me.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I don't know what I'm not a medical professional, but I know plenty of people who are. So
Yeah. Well, I got to get out of here. But hey, Bronk, thanks. It's great always having.
today.
Yeah, and it's fun having a back and forth because we don't always agree on things. A lot of things we do, but I guess
We didn't go, Jane, you ignorant slut.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in to this bitch fest.
There was no voices today. Did you notice? There was no Peter Alice or anything.
No, I'm just fucking pissed off, and I'm still pissed off. But hey, talking with you, you're like therapy, you antler head.
I'm a moose.
All right, man. Everybody, take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back again after the second game. And I hope that I'm in a better frame of mind, and the Bronk is too, and everybody out there in Moo Land is.
Yeah.
All right, take care, everybody. Hasta la vista, and go Cavs.